Hey, welcome back, all you awesome sixth graders. Mr. Eichley's here, and we are 2.5, example 1. We are multiplying decimals. So no fractions this time, but we are multiplying decimals. This one's decimal by whole number, and I want to encourage you because you've multiplied before. The only thing is now you got to count decimal places, so you don't have to do that till the very end. You don't have to line them up anymore. You just have to move your decimal place at the end. So let's take a look. 6 times 3.91, or 3 and 91 hundredths. So if you estimate, your answer should be somewhere around 6 times 4, which is 24. So we know we'll be close if it's something like 24. So notice how when you write it, you don't have to line up any decimal places like you do when you add and subtract. You just line it up like you would normal multiplication, as if there was no decimal, and then you multiply. So there's 2 decimal places here and none here. So I'm just going to multiply 6. 6 times 9 is 54. Carry the 5. 6 times 3 is 18. We're not going to go over how to multiply, but if you need to work on that, let me know and we can work on that. But so there's 2 decimal places here. So all I do is go down to my answer and start here and go 1, 2, and that's where my decimal place goes. Okay, so it's 23.46 would be my answer, and I'm all done. So let's take a look at this one. Around 0, it's going to be close to 0 because 0.016, that's not very much. So, again, we just write it out as if we would any multiplication. Don't worry about the decimal yet, but this does have 3 decimal places. 1, 2, 3. This one has 0. So in my answer, after I multiply, I just start here and I count 3 decimal places. 1, 2, 3. And since there was no number here, I put a 0 to hold that place. So since you only see a 4 and an 8, if you have to go one more decimal place, you put a 0 there to hold on to that spot. All right. Let's take a look at some more here. Again, this is just multiplication like you've done many, many times. All we have to do now is count the decimal places and reinsert it back into our answer. All right, here's 2 examples. You should try these on your own. Write out 4.8 times 3 and 0.0045 times 5 and see what you get. Don't forget to count your decimal places. This one has 1. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4.
Multiply 4 and 8/10 times 3. First, let's estimate a product. To estimate, we will round our decimal to the nearest whole number. So let's look at 4 and 8/10. 4 and 8/10 is closest to the whole number 5, so we'll round up to 5. Then we multiply by 3.
You don't have to estimate, but it's good to kind of get a ballpark of where your answer
3
should be.
is equal to 15.
So it should be around 15.
Is 15. When we have a final answer, we will double check with 15 to make sure the answer is reasonable. So now let's multiply. We have 4 and 8/10 times 3. We'll multiply vertically. Remember to multiply as if we're multiplying 2 whole numbers. So it's as if we're multiplying 48 times 3. We'll take care of the decimal at the end of the problem. So I'll multiply 3 times 8. 3 times 8 is 24. So place a 4 in the product and carry the 2. Then multiply 3 times 4, which is 12, and add the 2, which is 14. So we put 14 in our product. Now remember, we need to go back and find the decimal point. Notice in 4 and 8/10, there is one number to the right of the decimal. In our product, we need to move one place from the right to the left and add our decimal point between the 4 and the 4.
All right, that's it on that one. You just got to move your decimal one spot over. I'm going to go to this next video real quick because this one has a different problem.
Lastly, we need to double check with our estimate. find 45 10,000s times 5. First, let's write the multiplication vertically. We have 45 10,000s times 5. Remember to line up the numbers on the right.
Yeah, don't line up the
When you
dot.
multiply a decimal times a whole number, you treat it as if you're multiplying two whole numbers. So multiply 45 times 5. First, let's start with multiplying 5 times 5. 5 times 5 is 25. Place your 5 in the product and carry the 2. Then multiply 5 times 4, which is 20, and add 2, which is 22. So we have 225. But now we need to find how many decimal places we need for our product. To do this, we count the number of decimal places in our decimal factor, which is 45 10,000s.
What?
So when we count, we see that there are 4 decimal places.
1, 2, 3, 4.
That means we need 4 decimal places in our product. So, with the decimal point at the right of 5, we need to move it 4 decimal places to the left. So it ends up here. Then we fill in with zeros to complete our decimal. So now we have a product of 225 10,000s. So we found.
There you go. There you go. Make sure you put those zeros back in there. You can do it before or after, but sometimes it can be confusing. But that is example 1. You guys are doing great. Keep up the good work. And I'm going to hang out for a second so my video doesn't get cut off.